Campi Flegrei is on the move again. On November 3, more than 50 small quakes shook the caldera near Pozzuoli, with the largest around magnitude 2.1. Here's today's picture. In roughly the last 22 hours, about 50 to 70 microquakes rattled the Campi Flegrei area, with a top magnitude near 2.1. Most were very shallow and grouped just southeast of Pozzuoli. That is a familiar spot inside the caldera that lit up during several swarms this year. Examples from this afternoon local time include a magnitude 2.1 and a magnitude 2 inches the same sector near Pozzuoli. They are small by themselves, but what matters is the pulse. Many tiny quakes in a compact cluster over a short time window. That pulse and pause rhythm matches what we usually see here during bradyseismic phases. Epicenters today clustered just southeast of Pozzuoli, inside the Campi Flegrei caldera, rather than offshore or along the outer arc. The largest examples, around magnitude 2.1 and 2, also came from that same southeast of Pozzuoli patch, which confirms the focus on the urban side of the caldera. INGV, the GIS monitoring pages, and weekly bulletins point to the same area, with local stations tracking these shallow events as part of the bradyseism in progress. Campi Flegrei lives with bradyseism, that is slow up and slow down of the ground driven by hot fluids and gases moving under the caldera. It comes in pulses. Today's swarm fits that pulse and pause pattern. This cycle is not new. Pozzuoli's Serapeo columns carry historic marks that record the city rising and sinking relative to the sea over centuries. The stone tells the story of bradyseism in a way anyone can see. So when we see many small, shallow quakes in the same tight sector, it usually means fluids are pressurizing the shallow system again, and the crust is adjusting with tiny fractures and slips. What does new research say about the structure under the caldera? Studies in 2025 outline a gas-rich body a few kilometers down, roughly in the 2 to 4 kilometers range, capped by a stiff but fractured layer at about 1 to 2 kilometers depth. That cap is not a perfect seal. It lets fluids and gases thread through microfractures, which helps explain why many quakes are very shallow and why they arrive in clusters when pressure pulses. Deformation data line up with this picture. Since 2005, the ground at Pozzuoli has risen by about 1.46 meters at the center of maximum uplift, measured by GPS and radar. Recent weekly bulletins have discussed uplift rates on the order of about 15 to 20 millimeters per month during active phases. Put simply, when pressure in the gas-rich layer increases, stress loads the shallow crust. Old faults and fractures open a little. The result is a rash of tiny quakes very close together. That is what we are seeing today. INGV v Osservatorio Vesuviano tracks Campi Flegrei with weekly bulletins and real-time pages. The weekly PDFs summarize quakes, uplift, and gas for each 7-day window, and the late October reports flagged increased seismicity and ongoing bradyseism. For day-to-day checks, the INGV site has current status pages, live seismic traces, automatic quake locations, webcams, and shake maps. Alongside monitoring, Italy is testing the response side this week with a national drill on November 5 and 6. Agencies will check command posts, communications, and public meeting areas. On November 6, the port of Naples, Stazione Marittima, is the focus for moving people in a real evacuation scenario. This is an exercise, not an emergency, and it is part of keeping the system sharp. Radar satellites give scientists a bird's-eye view of ground change. Sentinel-1 uses interferometric radar to measure tiny shifts in the surface, often at millimeter precision. It has been key to tracking uplift and subsidence around Pozzuoli over long periods. The coverage is about to get stronger because the Sentinel-1D satellite launches on November 4 on an Ariane 6 rocket. More frequent passes and stable radar data mean better confirmation if uplift speeds up, slows down, or moves to a new patch. It also helps cross-check whether swarms line up with fresh ground motion. Small swarms do not mean a big eruption is about to happen. INGV continues to frame the current unrest as bradyseism, with no official announcement of magma rising toward the surface at this time. The message is steady. Watch, measure, drill, and keep plans current, because millions live in and around the caldera. So, what do you have to watch next? First, watch the swarm rate in the same southeast of Pozzuoli sector. If daily counts stay elevated or grow over the next 24 to 48 hours, the shallow system is still pressurizing. Second, check the INGV weekly bulletins for changes in uplift, speed, or gas trends at Pozzuoli. A faster rise or shifts in fumarole chemistry are key signals in this type of unrest. Finally, watch for any migration of quakes along the ring-like pattern described in 2025 research. If activity steps from one arc segment to the next in sequence, that fits the ring fault interpretation and deserves close attention. To keep today's swarm in context, remember that 2025 already delivered some of the strongest shakes in decades for the Naples area, with a widely reported early morning event in March that damaged buildings and pushed people into the streets. That was a different day and a different magnitude than today, but it shows why officials keep drills active and why residents feel every new cluster. People here know the ground's history. The system is capable of stronger events during an unrest phase. Why are there so many small quakes? Because small fractures adjust stress in tiny steps. A swarm is the sound of the crust rearranging itself grain by grain. What would be a change? Faster uplift, clear migration of quakes into new segments of the caldera ring, or a sharp shift in gas chemistry in official bulletins. These do not guarantee a larger event, but they are reasons to watch more closely. Italy is testing evacuation and communications this week in the Campi Flegrei area. Day 1 focuses on how agencies coordinate. Day 2 tests the public meeting area at the port of Naples and how people would be guided to ships if needed. If you live locally, you will see messages saying clearly, exercise, not emergency. These drills are how crews practice routes, radios, signage, and traffic control ahead of time, so real responses move faster and feel calmer. For residents, the checklist is simple. Know your municipal plan and your meeting points. Check whether your home is in the red or yellow zone on the civil protection maps. Follow Protezione Civile and your commune for alerts and drill information, and check INGV for status updates. Use official channels, not rumors. If you feel a stronger quake or see damage, report it through local procedures, and review the practical what to do guidance for bradyseism and volcanic risk. This year, several research teams used dense seismic networks and advanced detection methods to reveal more structure under Pozzuoli than we could see before. One headline finding this year's work is that shallow microquakes often align in ring-like patterns that match old caldera structures. Some media frame this as a ring fault organizing under the city. The careful way to say it is this. High-resolution catalogs show arcs of shallow events that likely map weaknesses in the upper crust, and scientists are testing whether those arcs behave like connected fault segments. It is an active area of study, and it is directly relevant to where swarms concentrate. For your viewers, the takeaway is that mapping is getting sharper, and that makes short-term interpretation better. Swarms like today usually fade within hours or days. Sometimes they return to the same sector. Sometimes they pop up a few kilometers away on another patch of fractured crust. That is normal for this caldera in a bradyseismic phase. The three things that matter for tomorrow are the rate of events, the locations, and the independent deformation signal. If the counts drop and deformation holds steady, that fits a simple pressure pulse. If the counts stay high and the swarm area slowly steps into new segments around the inner ring, that is a reason to pay more attention. If uplift speeds up or gas trends change at the same time, that is also a reason to follow official channels more closely. Your audience does not need complicated physics. They need short updates that link quakes, ground motion, and gas in clear language. Today's swarm is another reminder that Campi Flegrei is a living system. Many small, shallow quakes clustered southeast of Pozzuoli, a familiar hotspot on the caldera floor. Monitoring is steady, drills are scheduled, satellites are watching, and the weekly bulletins will tell us if uplift or gas trends shift. The message is simple. Stay informed, follow official channels, and keep your plan current. That is how a city lives safely with a restless caldera. If you want daily swarm maps, uplift updates, and clear explainers, subscribe. Comment where you felt it and what you want mapped tomorrow. I will add your town to tomorrow's map and keep this thread updated with the latest bulletins and satellite checks.